What is going on, guys? In this video, I'll be going over the Proto Lucky One here on the Crew 2. Now, this will be a new hypercar added into the game, and crazily enough, this is actually one of the Motor Pass cars as well, and it's also free, which I think is the best part about it. This is by far my favorite vehicle in the Motor Pass so far. Not only that, this car is also free, which makes it even better because everybody can get it. I have a feeling the new KTM Expo GT4 Raw Edition is going to end up being the same as the Proto Lucky One because we all know all the Expos are really good, which is awesome, and I have to admit, this thing looks crazy, but I'm also kind of disappointed in the SS Camaro because my goodness, like, the Bend Edition is so bad, I really couldn't believe it. Honestly, I don't think anyone's going to actually be using this vehicle. Luckily, the BMW i8, which is level 1, which is kind of funny, is better than the Camaro, and this car also looks pretty cool. So the first thing that popped into my head when I saw this car was I instantly thought about Cyberpunk 2077 because it kind of reminds me of something that would be in that game, but nonetheless, I have to admit, from testing this car out a bit on some hyper races, I'm actually really impressed with it so far. So here are all the actual official colors you can put on the vehicle. So color-wise, I decided to pick black for this one because I really like how it mixes the car up overall. Now, some of the other colors do look pretty cool, but I'm not really feeling any of these, to be honest. You can also add liveries to this car as well if you guys would like, but personally, I'm going to leave mine completely stock. Now, if you guys don't like the color setup on this thing, which I really don't blame you, at least this gives you another option to do so. So when it comes to the customization of the new Proto Lucky One, there's really not much you can do to the vehicle, which honestly does make sense. The car already looks crazy, but luckily you can change the rims on this car. So for me, I'm actually going to go with the black version of the regular rims that are on the vehicle already. I think these look very cool. Then you can also add all the Ubisoft rims if you would like to the car as well. Personally, I really don't like any of these. I just don't really like how they look. Like these rims, for example, I really do not like how these look. Let me know in the comments below your guys' thoughts on the rims in the Crew 2. I really do feel like these need to be updated of some sort in the next game and or in the next huge update. I just feel like the rims in this game are just not that good. Then the caliper colors, I'll probably end up making this yellow because I think that looks pretty cool with the overall setup on this car. So when it comes to the customization on the new Proto Lucky One, that is pretty much all you could do to this vehicle. I mean, like I said, it's already heavily customized and looks insane to begin with. So, I mean, what else can you actually do to this vehicle? Nonetheless, let's go take an outside look of this car with the interior and see how this thing actually looks. Then let's do a test drive and a top speed run, and then I want to take it into my favorite hyper race to see how it actually performs. Now, taking an outside look at the new Proto, I think we can all agree this is probably the coolest looking car in the Motor Pass, even though I have not even looked at the KTM yet. I just love the look of this vehicle, and what's crazy, it also seems like a really good car performance-wise as well. I mean, I've been doing some hyper races in it, and I'm honestly very impressed with the overall stability and handling of this car, and the speed's also pretty insane as well. Let's take a listen. Now, from the testing I've done, there's only one drawback to this vehicle that I can really see being an issue for some players, and that's going to be the interior look. So if you like driving in first person, you might be a little disappointed how this thing actually looks inside. Here's the actual interior. The whole dash basically looks like when you get a picture or video from an Android to an iPhone or vice versa. That's basically how the dash looks, honestly. I mean, it doesn't really look that good. It does move, though. And to be honest, when I was driving this thing in first person, I just did not like how this thing looked in any way possible. But I guess that's kind of part of the reason. It is obviously a futuristic car, so it's probably not going to look the greatest. But at least this car is very cool looking for the most part. Besides the very pixelated interior, this car is very nice. But besides all that, I have to admit, I am really liking this car so far from driving it. I might even start using it more in summits as well in the future. But let's go do a top speed run and see what this car can actually get to. So from the testing I've done, I obviously am running the Nitro Chemist set if you guys are wondering, because that's pretty much the only one I use on these. Even without Nitro Chemist set, I was running a Fame Magnet set when I was doing a race, and I still got this thing to 297 miles an hour, which was pretty crazy. So I decided to pick a random road over here kind of by the Vegas area to test this car out a little bit. So right now I'm not using any nitrous. Hit the nitrous now a little bit to get it up to speed there. So 278 is actually the legit top speed of the car, but obviously depending on the street you might be able to get a little bit higher. I really did notice that depending on the road you are on in this game, it seems to actually affect the car's speed, which is kind of weird. So go around the turn there. Look at that stability around that turn. That's crazy. So obviously I might have a little issues getting the top speed on these turns, but right after this second one here, I'll do a nice little run with it. I'm kind of mind blown with how good this car actually is. I know some might have been disappointed in the SS Bend Edition or the i8 Stellar Edition, which I really don't blame you. I really do think this car will make up for that, though, because I've been really enjoying this thing in the Hyper class. So let's do a speed run right now. So 307, 308 miles an hour, still very impressive, honestly, for, well, any of the hypercars, to be honest. Now, a lot of them can barely hit like 290, or they struggle getting to a speed, and it seems like this car isn't struggling in any way possible with anything. Now, I figured I'd do another little top speed run over by this highway in this area, because I wanted to see if I can get it to 308 again, so let's do that now. Hitting Nitro Chemist here, barely going through a lot of nitrous either, which is crazy. 309 there. It looks like basically going to be maxed out. Now, depending on the road, you might be able to get a little bit faster, like 310 or so. But regardless, a car that can do over 300 miles an hour is going to be insanely good for summits and or racing in general if you guys are trying to get better times and or improve. Or if you guys just want to farm or do the stories, this car can still be a really good time. Now, jumping right into the Hollywood hypercar race here with the new Proto Lucky 1. Now, I'm not even going to lie, I've been really enjoying this car a lot. I mean, pretty much everything about it, the handling, the stability, the overall, like, driving ability, the speed. Like, it's honestly really impressive how good this car actually is. And I think the best part about it is this is the one free car in the Motor Pass. And from what I can actually see so far, I have not tested out the KTM. This is by far the best car I've used in the Motor Pass so far. The Stellar Edition's all right, and the Bend Edition is honestly terrible. This car is actually really good and seems like a lot of fun to drive as well. Now, I'll do more testing on it for future summits and all that, and like future racing in general to see how this car will actually do competitively. But to be honest, look wise, I really do love how this thing looks as well. It's kind of mixed on the overall look of this car when I first saw it, but it's honestly growing on me a lot. Obviously, the interior could be a bit of an issue for some players, but personally, I really don't let it bother me too much. Kind of just driving the car in third person anyway. I mean, first person, you feel like you're actually driving like a futuristic vehicle because, well, it kind of is. But besides that, I really do like this thing a lot. So one thing I did notice is the handling on this car seems really good compared to some of the other hypercars I've driven. I mean, it just honestly turns on a dime. It doesn't spin out. It doesn't lose itself. And I'm mind blown. And the overall speed of the vehicle too, like gets up to 300 miles an hour with like no issues. And even without Nitro Chemist, I still did 295. That's pretty impressive. So if you guys want to run like races and stuff and or grind them, you don't have to use Nitro Chemist. Still do 290 miles an hour in this thing. It's honestly pretty amazing. I really want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below with this vehicle, and also the brakes on this thing are very impressive. I'm actually going to use them on the highway over here. I'm going to speed up a bit over here and like slam my brakes on the highway doing like 200 miles an hour or so. So let's see, right about here I'll go like 250. Hit the brakes, look at that. Because we all know going around some of these races and all that and/or summits, these can get pretty intense, but I think this car can definitely be one of the best new hypercars in the game, mainly because it's insanely well balanced, great speed, handling, stability, and it looks really cool. Plus, the best part is it's also free in this Motor Pass, so definitely do not miss out on this one, guys. Even if you don't want to level the pass up, at least hit level 25 so you can get your hands on this thing because it's well worth it, and it's insanely unique looking. If you can get past the weird interior in the vehicle, which I would say many will be able to, because most people do drive in third person, which I honestly do as well. I sometimes use first person, but not that often to get mad at the interior of this vehicle. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the new Proto Lucky 1 in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm running on the car currently.